Okay.
Ready? Oh my gosh. Okay, welcome guys to the Grounded and Growing podcast. This has been exciting. I've been waiting for this forever. If you recognize us from the Art Home podcast, yeah, some things happened, but here we are. We got some good feedback, so we had to start our own and be able to talk about all the things that we want to talk about.
Yeah, and this is non-work related for us, so this is our own baby.
Yep.
That's where everything started. Like, we got the ideas and realized we were great co-hosts together.
Yes, let's go.
So here we are.
And then the idea of the name too, I gotta say that, because like I want to applaud us for that. That was pretty clever. But grounded and growing, because both of us are heavily involved in personal growth, and we also both love coffee. And I was like, why not, like, grounded goes with personal growth because, like, you know, present moment, just all that stuff. But it also goes with coffee grounds. So yeah, you'll always see us drinking a cup of coffee on this show. But yeah, grounded and growing.
Even though it's not morning?
Nope. It is literally like 8 p.m.
I don't know. My phone's over there.
It is 8:08 p.m. right now. So,
oops.
We might be up all night, but it's for you guys. So.
And we're not going to set a timer. We used to do that with our old podcast, but
yeah,
we're just going to be like flowing and organic and just see what happens with our time, because we have a good gauge too of what we want to say today on this episode.
Absolute flow. So yeah, with episode 1, I'm sure a lot of you know who we are, but let's go further in depth for the new ones. Yeah,
and welcome, new listeners. Thank you so much for clicking on this, and do not leave. It's going to get more exciting, I swear.
And we'll get better as we go. This is first episode, so yeah, I'm excited to just keep this journey going.
We have our next, 5 episodes already planned, our topics, and, majority of what we want to talk about. So this is probably the most boring, if you will, episode, because it's about us, why we're doing this, just so people that do listen and get hooked on the podcast, hopefully, have a reference point of, okay, what are these girls all about? Like, what the heck? Why did they start this? That's what this episode is.
Yep.
Do you want to go first, or you want me to?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about who this is for? Who this is for?
Who is this for? Yes, so we had the idea of starting a podcast for other entrepreneurs, other people that are other humans that are into personal growth, mindset, everything that entails growing a business, improving your life, improving your balance in your life, improving anything, because we are always growing. And if you're not growing, you're decaying, right? So we wanted to have a podcast that talks about all of that, because growing up, I didn't have that in my life. I didn't really have a point of reference for all that. I didn't have the education, and I do now, and I'm so thankful. So we want to share that with others who might not have that yet, or are very involved in already deep into their personal growth story. So we wanted to make something for everybody that's in there.
Absolutely. And I think it's so beautiful because the age difference, we're just in such different parts in our journeys.
Let's not go over how old I am.
No. No, just saying the different parts of the journeys. You've gone through so much that I haven't yet, and it's just cool to see the different perspectives of
oh my gosh, yeah.
So we can relate to a lot of people.
And I used to tell you this all the time, but I wish I knew what you know now at your age. Yeah. I had no idea. I had to figure it out years later the hard way. And we'll go over that, some of that. But
yeah, well, since we're already there, what's your story?
Oh, gosh.
What was, the point where it was okay, this needs to change, and, what was, the big breakdown before your breakthrough?
I honestly think I've had a few.
Yeah.
I used to call it my quarter-life crisis. So I'm 33, and when I was 25, I either just got married or was about to be married, and I was in that idea of, okay, this is what you do. You find someone and you marry and you get a house, you have kids, blah blah blah. I was in that this is what I have to do, this is what I'm told I'm supposed to do phase of my life, and obviously it's not for everyone, and the timing is different for every person. So I rushed it, of course, and jumped in, wasn't quite ready. And I am now 33, and everything's changed since then so much. It's a lot to talk about in a few sentences, but I since got divorced. I have a 3-year-old son, and I'm now in a great relationship, which is awesome. And we can touch on that another episode. We can do like a relationship,
Oh, I would love that.
like a compatibility episode, because there's so many things I didn't know. Oh my gosh. So anyhow, I had like a breakthrough at 25 where I was like, what am I doing? You know, I don't like my job and all these things. So then I got back into doing more creative things. I started personal training again at that time in my life on the side. So I love being active and helping others do that. And I think that was the year I studied yoga. I did my yoga teacher training too. So it was kind of like a soul searching year. I was like, okay, I have this person now, and I got to figure out who I am in this relationship. And then that changed again after that relationship ended. It's like, okay, now who am I? And why did that not work? And why does everything feel like it fell apart when it felt so good at first? And so I did another self-dive at 30, I would say, right around 30. And I had a newborn to do that with, and we had a whole life change. And that was the best, obviously, most detrimental one because I realized that I wasn't doing things that I wanted to do for work, and I wasn't happy with that. And I don't know, I just kind of snapped out of it. I feel like I was sleeping or like going through motions my whole life up until then, which is insane. I know. Imagine, I mean, you're 20.
19.
19. Okay, I always think you're 20. We
Close.
just had
we
your
got
party.
like 3 more months.
Okay. Oh, dude, that's coming up. I feel like we just had that party for you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Time goes so fast.
So fun. So imagine in 5 years you have this awakening, and then in another 5 years you have another one. Like, it seems insane, but it can happen. And yeah. But anyways, I'm glad it happened. And I started to listen to podcasts. I listened to Ed Milet back then. Like, he was the first one I started listening to. And I read so many books and started to do my own research on mindset and being, like, I wasn't an entrepreneur before, but I always had that thought process of how could I make this different and better and add my touch. And that would get in the way of some of the jobs I was doing, and nobody liked that when you're supposed to just do what you're told. And now I know, like, there's a reason that's in my brain. So I had that another awakening at 30 where it's like, okay, you need to go into something that allows you to be creative and free and use all these random ideas. And real estate was my answer for that. And it's amazing. It's been going great. It's been a grind, always a grind, but it's definitely meant for me, and it's amazing right now. So yeah, I guess my story is I had a couple awakenings, a couple of aha moments in my life, and I'm always growing still. I mean, even though I've changed everything and I feel like I'm solid with who I am, I'm constantly learning. So it's always evolving.
Yeah, I mean, we all are. And I think, like, there's so many things I want to touch on right there.
I know.
First off, like, we're all evolving. Like, and I think that a lot of people, like, what I get so passionate about is I feel like people my age, like, usually aren't tapped into the personal growth yet, all that stuff.
No.
So, like, if you ask them, oh, do you know yourself? Yeah, I know myself. And, like, for you, like, so many people, like, actually don't know themselves. So I'm so glad that you actually, like, were like, who am I? And, like, went on that self-discovery journey. But, like, that's why I'm so passionate is, like, dude, you don't know yourself. Unless you've done the work, you've asked yourself certain questions and really, like, dove deep into that. And, like, going back to, like, the evolving thing, it's, like, a lot of people will be like, yeah, I changed. But it's like, okay, yeah, you changed. You're always changing. But did you grow?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, and I think it's cool, too, that, like, to see that you, like, awakened. Because I feel like a lot of people, like, live their whole life just being in that sleep mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, it just puts me on fire. It's like,
I know.
Imagine if your whole life was like that, like in that sleep mode.
I wouldn't have known any better.
Mm-hmm.
I would not know the freedom that I feel now and the weight that's been lifted. Like, I know this sounds kind of spiritual, but maybe it is. I don't know, but words cannot explain. I'm so glad those things happened to me, and that's horrible to admit that, like, going through a divorce was a good thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was needed. It was necessary. It snapped me out of it. I realized what I was worth, what I deserved, and what I wanted to do. And yeah,
Yeah.
Just crazy. And you can tell people that knew me before and like saw that happen, that change. I lost a lot of friends, honestly. But the people that stuck with me through that, which there's a whole nother thing we could go on. I could tell you're like, oh, we can talk on that. But the people that saw it happen, they're like, oh my gosh, like you are finally like a butterfly that just like came to life. And they're like, we knew you had it in you, you know? I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me?
I know. I always feel that way with people. It's like when they're like, yeah, like I always knew that. I'm like, okay, tell me that. So that's a good lesson right there. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, hold your friends accountable. If you see something, like, you're honestly robbing them if you're not saying it. So.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's hard to be honest with people because they don't want to hear it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're with someone that's not good for you. Tell them, please save them the time they lose. But
Yeah,
it's hard to do that because you want to support your friends no matter what, too.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things right there we could talk about for hours.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your story?
My story. Yeah, obviously I have a story, and I always get in this, like, I don't know, imposter syndrome that since I'm only 19, I don't have that big of a story, but it's
You
still
do,
a story.
though.
I know. So my story is, as a high schooler, I, like, was just in a toxic friend group. I had someone who, like, was, like, my bestest friend. Like, still to this day, never had a friend like that, but yeah, people are, not who you always think they are. So, and I still take responsibility for that too. Like, there's things that I did wrong, but moral of the story, I was in a toxic friend group and they started to get into like partying and stuff. And I just kind of like, at first it was very slow. It wasn't like an every weekend thing. It was like maybe once a month thing. And I was just like, okay, follow the crowd, like fit in. And so that's what I did. And then I noticed that the friend group started to do it every weekend. And I was like, okay. I was like, nah. Because I started to notice it, and I always told myself I never want to be that person that parties every weekend.
Yeah.
And they started to do it. And naturally, like, time goes on. And during this time, like, a few months before I was, like, kicked out of the friend group or whatever, I started, like, watching, like, self-help content. So Alex Sedlak is, like, he's been my mentor forever. And, like, that's the guy that I still watch to this day. He was on my TikTok feed, and he was just getting, like, really popular at the time. And that's who, like, introduced me to personal growth, I guess. And I was just kind of watching the content. Wasn't, like, really doing anything, I guess. I was just kind of, like, dabbling in it. And then, naturally, I started to find myself a little bit, like, just, like, learning what that is. And then that December of, I think it was junior year, we were all, like, going to go to winter formal, like, all this stuff. And they, like, people in the friend group were, like, saying I was, like, talking shit about them, like, all this stuff, like, making things up. And I was like, that never happened, but okay. And then so the older people in the friend group who were a grade above us, like, in front of the entire senior hallway, like, went off on me saying, like, you can never be welcome in my house again, like, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. And my best friend, who I thought was my best friend, stood there and just watched me the whole time. Like, just watched this, like, yell in my face. And I'm like, okay. And that was that. And at the time, same week I got broken up with, like,
oh my gosh.
with, like, my relationship. And it was just, like, I thought it was the worst week of my life.
Right. But
looking back, that was the most transformational life, like, as it happens. But in the moment, like, I thought it was the worst week of my life. Like, I lost all my friends. I lost my relationship. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, the only person, like, that had my back still, other than, like, my parents and, like, stuff like that, was my cousin. Like,
aww.
Yeah, we were, like, best friends. She's still my best friend. She'll be my maid of honor. But yeah, she, like, was, like, the only person. And I was like, bro, like, I have nobody now. And but yeah, because of that, like, it just motivated me to, like, get more into, like, reading. So, like, after that happened, like, so I already had, like, my first book. And it's funny too, real quick, I have to say this too. Before I got kicked out of the friend group and stuff, I was talking to this guy. And when I got my first, like, self-help book, I posted on my, like, private Snapchat story, And I was like, did I just buy a book? Like, that's so, like, odd. Like, no way I just bought a book. Like, I don't know, because, like, I didn't read. Like,
well, wait, you're Gen Z, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Gen Z's, man.
Yeah.
You
Like, I
bought
read
a
it.
book.
I read in school, obviously, but, like, buying a book outside of school was weird for me. Like,
Really?
yeah.
I was
Now
always
it's
a
not.
nerd.
If you look at my bookshelf now, bro, no. But,
funny.
I did that, and the guy I was talking to at the time literally slid up and was like, "You're weird." And I was like, I thought he was just being sarcastic. And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "It's just a book. Like, don't know. Like,
Made
it's
of
about
paper.
yeah,
you know?
it's like it's about being better. Like, how is that weird?" And he's like, "No,
Oh.
like, that's actually weird." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so that was that. That was done. So, but yeah, so it's just funny, like, leading up to this moment, there was always people, like, that thought it was weird, or, like, you know, just like, yeah, you couldn't stand out. Especially I lived in a small town, like, and
I
you
was
had
just
that
gonna
small
go
town
on that
experience too, like,
tangent. Yep.
yeah, and like
I
people
was
would
always called
probably
weird.
still watch this to this day because I'm not that far out of high school and be like, "Bro, you're weird." Like,
Can I
I'm
flip
not
him the
weird.
bird, please?
Yeah, like, but yeah, keep going. I'm sorry, I'm making this way longer than it needs to be.
No, you're great.
But yeah, so then I got like The Power of Now, The Mastery of Love, like January, February. And then from there, like, I think that would have been like 2022, I think, was like the year that, like, yeah, I like really started to like actually figure out who I was
Yeah.
and like find my community. And it just like, yeah, that was my personal growth journey. And then it just went into senior year, and I then started to like really, like, it was like momentum. Like, I really actually knew who I was senior year. Like, and a big part of my story too is like I took all the college classes in high school. Like, I got straight A's. Like,
Damn.
I graduated with high honors. Like, I got recruited for softball. Like, I was bound to go to college, but I was so in touch with who I was and knew what I wanted that I knew that I wasn't gonna go to college. So yeah, it's a big part of my story. And like what I do now, like helping athletes, you can literally, if you look at my softball, so I was a softball player in high school too. If you look at my stats from when I didn't know myself to when I did know myself, is a drastic change.
Dude.
Which is why I'm so like, it just fires me
You're
up.
so
like,
passionate to
yes,
help others get there.
because so many high school athletes, like I hate to say that, but like I was a rare one, like to pick that up before. Most people graduate and like then understand it and wish they could go back.
Yep.
Like, oh, I wish I knew the mental side of the sport, but then you can't go back. So it's like, yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Oh my gosh. So many things you said I want to talk about, but I know we need to stay on track a little bit.
Yeah. And I'd say the last piece of my story too, just the not going to college thing. I wanted to start my own coaching business and all that, and I didn't know how I was going to do that, but divinely the day I graduated is when I got connected to Jimmy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's who she works for.
Yeah. Works with.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so I helped him build like his business and stuff. And
let's side shift here. What do you do for work then, and like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so currently I work half the day at Our Home Photo, so if some of you know me from that.
That's how we met.
Yep, that's how we met. And then the other half of the day I go and work with Jimmy for Abundance Life Coaching. So I am the COO there, so I basically do all the operations. I'm also a coach there, and may have an agency on my own like soon here. So
Ooh, I didn't know if you were gonna drop the
yeah.
the news here.
I mean, that's all I get. That's all I get
That's
for
all
now.
you're getting. Well, we met last year. I worked almost all of last year at Art Home Photo, which is basically a media company for the real estate world in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They do all the like photography, videography, a lot of that, and then they dabble in social media marketing too, which is what they hired me to help with. So I got to do that last year. It was awesome. I love the job. I did that, and then on the side, I was doing the real estate. So I was trying to build up the real estate to make it enough to do it full time. And I finally hit a point in October last year, I think it was September, October, where it was just too much. I mean, I'm a single parent. So I have my little toddler and Theo. Shout out to Theo.
Shout out Theo.
I actually would love to have him on, like, as a guest for a little bit on one of the podcasts, because he says some crazy stuff, but he's so honest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole nother idea I have. But anyhow, it was just too much, like, working a day job and trying to make time to source leads and follow up and get to closings and do showings. And it was like, okay, what do I really want to do here? So I had to make the decision and get rid of the day job, which was ultimately the plan, but sooner than I anticipated. And then now I just do real estate, and I just went all in, and it's been fantastic. And I still get the honor of working with Art Home Photo to do all my listing videos. Yep. And we just made a video introducing my new brokerage that I joined, and they did the marketing at the event I was at. So it's like, in a roundabout way, it was a good little detour. I got a ton of experience. I met a million amazing people. Not a million, but I met hundreds of amazing people in the industry, and I got some good connections. And I got to do some good work and meet Delaney too. And it just kind of worked out really well.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Couldn't have worked out more perfectly.
Yeah. Thanks, Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh, if he listens to this, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm sure he will. Should we touch on, like, what our mission is? Did we kind of go over that?
I mean, we said who we were talking to, but not really our mission.
Okay. Well, our mission is to share what we've learned in our lives and in our journeys and in our mistakes and all the things, what we've learned about personal growth and just having a positive mindset and what that can do for your life and your business. And that sums it up pretty good.
You summed it up pretty good.
I'm just winging it, dude.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we thought too, so like going into our stories now, we want to tell you like where we are now and like what our 2025 goals are and like words for the year.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
So my word of the year is alignment, because what I learned last year was when I wasn't in alignment with my values or myself in general, like I tended to like be lazy or make mistakes or just do things that, again, weren't in alignment with me. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But I'm reading The Values Factor right now, which, oh my gosh, you guys need to all read that book.
I need to read that.
It is so good. I think it like became my favorite book. Like, it is so good. And you find your values, which I already like knew my values, but obviously it goes way deeper and then helps you like attach that to how you can apply that in your relationships, how you can have a like career that pays you handsomely for what you actually love to do. And so, so I'm figuring that out, and because of that, that's helped me become in more alignment. So now I know that, like, because it's life, like, you're going to be out of alignment at times. But with that, like, now that I know, like, clear on my values and what I want, it's easy to get back into alignment and know that, like, okay, you're either out of alignment or not, or you're in alignment or not in alignment. And so it's pretty easy right now. And I got some pretty big goals for 2025. I won't name them all here.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a work in silent person.
Yes.
But
no one knows about this podcast yet.
I know that
this has been in silent.
Definition of work in silent right here. Like,
months.
I haven't really told anybody about it, and I'm just excited to just drop it.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a link. That's it.
Yep.
Just like, here it is. This is what we've been doing.
Yeah, I'm a very like work in silent person, while also like having the balance of like I want to share my journey with you guys, but I'd rather do it as I'm doing it and like after, rather than I'm gonna do all these things, you know what I'm saying? Yeah But I'd say just some basic ones is like journal daily, because it helps me stay grounded and helps me grow. So I love journaling. That's like my favorite habit of all time. So journal daily is one. And my three like areas of focus this year are connections, so like relationships, my health, because I'm still recovering from my ACL injury, so want to get cleared for that. And then what's my other? Personal growth. That's my other one. So that kind of goes on the alignment thing, because like you can be so focused on, in my personal opinion, you can be so focused on all the other things, but if you don't have the personal growth, like you're not going to be happy, fulfilled, and you're gonna not be in alignment. So those are my 3 areas of focus. Journal daily. In my relationship, do like a exercise daily with that. So that's constantly growing. So there's like an app for that. It's really cool.
You should send that to me.
I will.
That's cute.
And then so I do that daily. Get cleared to play flag football again. That's a big one. Launching this podcast was a goal, so here we are.
In January, let's go.
Yeah, let's go, bro.
We did not waste any time.
Hitting the ground running.
Seriously.
So those are just a few of mine. I have a lot more, but again, working silent. What are yours that you'd like to share?
Right. I don't have a lot of specifics offhand, but my word of the year is focus. I am undiagnosed ADHD, pretty sure. I mean, everyone's told me that my whole life. Well, my adult life, for sure. But the thing is, I do a lot of different things all the time, and I thought it was multitasking, but apparently it's a thing. But anyhow, I've found ways to work with it, and it actually helps when you're in a job that's constantly changing. You have to be like, boom, I'm doing this. Boom, I'm doing that. Take this call. Oh, shoot, that email, this. It can be exhausting, but that's how it works in real estate. So it kind of goes really well with how I am naturally. But my word is focus, because I lose focus a lot and I see different things going on and I want to run to them. So I'm focusing on building my real estate, because last year I was doing 2 different jobs. My focus was split. And as soon as I put all of my focus into the one thing, it just rocketed off. We can't talk about real estate stuff until it closes, so I can't get too excited because I have 4 pending transactions right now and 2 listings, and on top of the ones that are pending. And it's just like, last year I think that a number total is what I did the whole year, so it's just actually maybe less. I don't know, I'd have to count, but already the amount that I have pending is triple what I did the entire year last year, which is nuts. But it's a lot you have to stay focused. So I'm trying to stay focused right now on what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We're going to be raw on this podcast and super real, and I'm not going to be fake at all. So
straight up authentic.
This is us. Yeah. Literally. Very goofy, but yeah, staying focused on building the real estate and really dialing it in. I switched brokerages for a number of reasons. I found one that aligns with everything I believe in and everything I want to do, and has the opportunity for the growth that I want and the potential team that I want to build. So that'll be coming after a while, probably a year out. But I'm looking to create all these systems and keep things automated and get more of a, I guess, systemized way of doing things, because it was very scattered last year on the real estate side, because it was just end of mind stuff at the end of the day. I was like, oh, shoot, I got to do that, So I'm trying to make it systemized so it can be repeated and duplicated, so then I can add team members and I can potentially make more money doing less on the ground work. I can just delegate and all that. So I'm trying to focus on making the real estate feel less stressful, if that's possible. And I don't think it is.
I don't know about that, but
the processes need to be less stressful. Absolutely. And then it'll in turn help be more successful. So focusing on that, but there's other things I'm focusing on in my personal life as well, prioritizing my personal well-being, as in going to the gym regularly again. I was in a 2-month lull of holy crap, what's happening with real estate right now? I can't even breathe moment. Where I would just skip the gym because I couldn't. So I started doing stuff at home, especially with the new year. I hate going to the Y the first 2 weeks of January, because everyone that doesn't usually go is there. Everything I want to use is taken. So these last few weeks I've been working out at home a lot, actually, as well as going to the Y. But anyhow, focusing on prioritizing my health, keeping myself in check, taking care of me, and also having fun with my child and making time where I'll take off a random Wednesday, keep him home from the sitter. And because realtors never stop working, let's be honest, the Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 babysitter, I mean, sometimes it's I just made calls today and he could have been playing next to me and I could have made lunch with him. And then I work at night with him anyways. He'll go to showings, he'll go to open houses sometimes with me. And I work weekends. So it's I'm trying to prioritize, okay, where can I fit in realistically, focusing on my kid and giving him all my focus for hours instead of 10 minutes. So I'm going to start doing that more often, where I take a half day and I just have him. I answer phone calls, of course, emails, but I play with him. I take him to the park, like things like that. There's an indoor park at the Y, so thank God, because it's so cold.
Yeah.
But focusing on him, so focusing on my career, focusing on my mental, my physical health, focusing on my kid, focusing on my relationships. So a lot of similar things as yours, and personal growth, like all of those things.
That's what's beautiful. It was like what I found. So every year I always do this like cool Notion template that like sets it all out for you, and it's just great. So it helps me set your goals. And the thing that I was talking about was your energy map.
Wow.
So it basically like tells you like it's unrealistic to think that you can put your energy, like all your energy, into everything. So what it makes you do is separate your energy. So you have like 20 points or whatever to put into each category. So you got like hobbies and creativity, career and finance, home, personal growth, connection, health, like all those. And so the 3 that I said previously are the ones that like I'm like, okay, I'm focused on this. And like adventure was one. Like, so it makes you like prioritize your energy and like make you like organize it. And
it's an app?
It's a Notion. Have you ever heard of Notion?
I think so.
It's like a software. And there's like a million different templates, but like there's a specific like company or person that like built this one that I always do. So
can you send me that too?
Yeah.
We might have to do like a link below for like our
we'll
books.
put it in the YouTube description.
Yeah, we should totally do that, because she always has the best recommendations. I'm like, can you send me that? I'll forget that by the end of this.
Yes, I can do that. And
so
one
cool.
thing I wanted to say too about your word focus that I loved is I like when you said one thing, like it's so funny. Iman Gadzhi, like I don't know if you know who that is. He's a big like business entrepreneur, like YouTuber guy. But I've just been watching him lately, and like literally his video series he just dropped is literally called One Thing. It's because it's just a focus on like one thing, because that's where you're actually going to get a lot of profit. So many people try to do like a million different things at once. It's like you're just starting a bunch of stuff and you're not actually like, so like the way I see it is like, if you're just starting out, you need money, like you need finances to fund what you're building. So it's okay to have a job, like at first, and then like build your business on the side in your free time. Then like where you got to the point where it was like where your business could like fund your entire life, like your expenses, then you can move full time to that. Focus on that one thing until you like build it like a lot. Then that's when you get into the multiple sources of income, I feel like.
Yeah.
That make you wealthy. But so many people want the multiple sources of income right away.
Well, yeah.
Or
ideally.
But
that's
it's like,
real.
but when you don't focus on the one thing, like at first, it's just, it gets a little, like you don't ever really finish anything and don't get the full potential out of what you're building.
You're half-assing it.
Yep.
You can't do that and have it be fruitful enough. Like, I wasn't satisfied. I was like, this real estate stuff is awesome, but it sucks because I'm not able to put all my energy into this, and I'm constantly stressed about it. Well, yeah, it sucked because I wasn't putting all my energy into it. It was a balance, but it is necessary, like you said, to start out. Like, how else would I have paid my mortgage and fed my child and myself? You know, you just got to find something. And I was I'm grateful that I was lucky enough to find something that helped balance that out and was flexible with that. Like, it's so hard to find a job that's flexible if your kid gets sick or you have a closing to attend. Like, that was a struggle for me, and I was lucky enough to find that right away. But I did apply elsewhere too. Like, it wasn't just like I got that lucky right away, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to ask you too, going back to the ADD, is there anything that you're like hyper focused on? Even if it's like just like doing the dishes, like something people don't think of. Is there something that like you're just like really focused on?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I get super like OCD about, and that's a sign that you have ADHD or ADD, whichever it is. Yes, so cleaning is one for me. So like the dishes, or I hate doing dishes. I currently don't have a dishwasher, by the way. Side note, the house I bought was a flip, and they like redid it, and the kitchen didn't have a good spot for it, and so they just didn't put one in. So it's up to me. So I'm going to have to cut a hole in the cabinets to put one in and run a line, whatever. But that's on the docket this year. But anyhow, yes, I hyper focus on cleaning and get into like the zone where I could go for like 8 hours and clean like the entire house, and then my kid comes home and she just destroys it. But as far as like deep cleaning, I love that stuff. And growing up, my mom used to clean houses. I didn't mention this. There's 5 of us children, so she couldn't really do like a normal job. And she took me and my one sister sometimes to these cleans, so I learned from a young age like how to clean. And
Dang.
she's also very
That's a good skill.
clean freak. Yeah. But I like to have a nice house. I like to have it clean as much as possible, and I get super hyper focused on that a lot. And then I also get hyper focused when I do art or anything creative, such as painting, which I still do once in a great while when I have time. And the thing is, that's why I don't do it so much, is because I want to spend a ton of time on it, because I want to like complete a painting. I don't want to leave it half done. It drives me insane. And I know I don't have 4 hours or 5 or 6. And that's how long it takes to paint those pictures sometimes. It's like super tedious, but it's because I have this image in my head and I want to get it on the paper, or like I'm doing a recreation of a photo or something I saw online, and I'm like super like obsessive over it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the ADHD, but it also creates really pretty paintings. So that's probably why I don't do it as much, because I get too obsessive over it to have time to do it.
I love that. That's so interesting. Because, like, and the only reason I asked that is because the book I'm reading right now, it talks about that, about how basically everybody has some form of ADD, attention deficit disorder, and, like, a lot of kids actually get misdiagnosed with it in school because they're just doing things that don't align with your values. And then on the other side of that, there's attention surplus order, which we all have. So that's why I asked if there's anything that you hyper focus on. So painting and cleaning sound like high values of yours, which is really cool.
Yes. I mean,
especially the painting part.
Yeah, if I could just do that, that'd be great.
That's awesome.
Retirement plan.
I love that.
Yeah, someday. Do you think you have ADHD or ADD? To what capacity and why?
You know, I've never thought that I have, like, I mean, there are times, like, it's hard for me to focus, but I've never, like, I feel like I've never, like, struggled with any, like, certain, I don't know. I feel like it'd be pretty evident if I did.
Yeah.
But I can pretty much stay locked in on a task and, like, move. But, I mean, again, like, going back to the book, obviously there is things where it's, like, I lose focus a lot because it doesn't align with my values. Like, it's funny, like, yesterday, like, I went with Sophie to, like, she wanted me to go with her to, like, this like salon shop where it's like only like professionals can go, like get products for like their salon and stuff.
I go to those. I use my sister's. I pretend I'm my sister because she's a hairstylist.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So I went with her, and it's so funny. The second I walk in, I'm just like dazing off because it's not part of my values.
Yep.
And so it's very interesting, like being aware of that now, and like the things that like if you're like not focusing, it's probably because it's not in alignment with your values. And the things that you are super focused on, even if it's things that other people don't value, like video games, for example.
Yeah.
Like, from the outside world, if people are like, oh, you can't, like, make money off that, like, whatever.
You
like,
can, though.
Yeah, you can. So it's like, yeah, just get clear on what you really like to do, and that, like, no matter what, and I have to say this, too. Another cool thing in this book is that, like, what you value, you don't need discipline for. You don't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And if you catch yourself saying, oh, I should have woke up.
The gym.
I should have gone to the gym. That's because if you're saying should, it's because it's other people's values. It's other people feel like make you feel like you need to do that. But, I mean, yeah. So
you don't value your health enough to do that? Like, then it turns into fixing the mental issue there. Then you desire, because if you fix that and you want to do better for yourself and feel better and be healthier, then you'll naturally want to go to the gym. Trust me. I used to train people to think this way. Like, you have to make it fun for you, and you have to make it work into your lifestyle and make sense.
Yep.
And if you don't value it, you're like, what's the point? Like, I hate this. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make time in my busy day.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Side note.
Yeah.
Do you think that theory, proven theory, applies of the theory of if you don't value it, you get bored with it, whatever. Do you think that applies to jobs and people? Like, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that one job I had, sitting there all day crunching numbers, and I was a buyer for a company, guys. what? Why? I don't know, but it was a good opportunity. Yeah, okay. For someone else. It was like mind numbing for me, but I did it for over a year and I didn't value it. Like I appreciated it. It was good pay. It was, it was great. I loved the people I worked with and I got to like negotiate with all these business owners and stuff. And it taught me a lot, but I didn't value it. I didn't like it. I was bored and I started to resent it and I hated going to work and then I'd get headaches on Mondays and I'd feel sick and then it just turned into this whole thing. Do you think that applies?
Absolutely. It applies.
Yeah.
It applies to everything. And so going back to my point, if if that job was something you valued, you would wake up every morning just inspired to go to work and motivated. You'd be like, yes, like I get to go to work. But when it's not, it obviously does not align with your values. Now, does that mean that job is bad? No, it applies to somebody else's values. Somebody else would love to do that job. And if you and it doesn't always mean you need to switch your entire career. Like sometimes it does mean that, but first try to link your values. So what you can do is actually, when you figure out your values, link it in a way that you see it so you list all the benefits of for this job, how is this job helping me to fulfill my highest values? And then you so then you link your highest values. And then if you link them and try it out, experiment with it, and it still is unfulfilling, then you probably need to switch careers.
Dude, there's some people, I need you to talk to someone for me.
Okay.
Because if you're complaining about a job or if you're unhappy in your work, it's not necessarily the job itself all the time. It can be something else going on. It can be maybe, I don't know, it could just be a bad time of year for that particular job, or sales are down, or things aren't moving, or you're frustrated dealing with people, which is every job. Every single job. And maybe it's something like that where it's just not making sense in your head as to why you're there.
Yeah, and something that if you're a business owner listening to this is really get clear on your values and also get clear on your employees' values and ask them what their highest values are, what inspires them to do work, and get their job role in position, in alignment with those values. Because you want hard. You want your employees to come to work inspired every day. So it's the only way to really do that and get the best results is actually asking them, okay, what do you value most? What do you really love to do? That every day you're just inspired to do. Thank you guys for watching episode 1, and welcome to the Grounded and Growing family. I'm Delaney Connett. This is
Tristen Davis.
We're so excited that you're here. Again, if you're still here after 45 minutes, you're a real one. And we hope that you stay for our entire journey, because there's going to be a lot of evolving and you get to see our whole journey. So I'm excited. Hope you guys stay tuned for the next episodes and stay grounded
and keep growing.